classrooms or on supplies or something like that. So we have to be very careful with how we budget it. And that's all we can do is take that in revenue.
But regular grants, what happens, you don't know if you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
See, if we
Right,
say,
yeah,
oh,
no,
we can
I
anticipate $20,000 in grant, well, that goes in the budget, and that goes against our tax rate. Then if we don't get the money, we're
Right.
stuck. So you're better off taking it as unanticipated money. And by turning the warrant article, that way, if you apply for it and you're not expecting you get it, you can spend it without it counting against your tax rate.
That's what I thought, I just wanted to make sure I understood it correctly. And then my last question is, a couple meetings ago, you had talked about Sanborn tuition agreement and working on that, and I wondered if there had been any progress.
We'll get past the 1 a.m.s
Okay.
before we can get to that.
Okay.
But thank you, and we will be pursuing that. We're just gonna have to wait until things calm down in the office.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Sean Peralt?
Yes. Sean Fault, 92 BD Hill Road. I just had a couple of questions on the NEASC accreditation. I thought at the last meeting that the school itself wasn't quite ready for that yet, so I was curious why it was put back into next year's budget.
It's a year away. That's next year.
What?
That's next year.
But I know, but I thought that we weren't even going to be close then. I thought this was like a huge, long project, and because of all the things that were required under it, especially like in the science field, that it was going to take a couple years to even get ready for them to come in. So I'm curious as to why that was left in.
When you bring the ask in, you don't expect to be accredited. You don't work to be accredited and then bring them in. It's you bring them in and then you work together
Okay.
toward accreditation. This year with the focus schools and all the changes and all the work that the staff is doing, it would be overwhelming to the staff and unfair to the staff to make them also do this process. Hopefully, next year, they'll be able to breathe a little bit and be able to handle it.
Okay.
That's kind of the thinking.
Okay. And then my last question was, when you were going over the current budget, you reduced the staff by 1 in order to fund the foreign language arts teacher, and I feel like we're right back on the deliberative floor where you're losing one subject in order to fund something else that we want, and as a parent that concerns me. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for our school to stay exactly the way it is with the addition of the foreign language to meet the needs of the students going to high school.
When I broached John the subject of looking at class size, it wouldn't be taking away a subject, it would be reducing a full-time classroom teacher, most likely in grade 4 or 5. And it would be classes moving from 16 and 17 to 21, which is in grades 4 and 5 a reasonable size. And is backed up by research that is not a level which would be detrimental to the children. So we're trying to stay with, we're looking at the 2 CBAs, we've got the raises in the healthcare, and we're trying to find ways to make things work. You know, and the parents can come and make those changes, they certainly can, but we have to come forward with something, and that was just part of the process.
Are you looking to put the foreign language teacher directly into the budget or make it a separate warrant article like it was last time?
It's in the budget.
Because that was just a disaster.
It's in the budget.
It's in the budget, okay. All right, thank you. I think that's pretty much all I have right now.
I mean, the other thing is, enrollment has dropped considerably, even from last year, it's dropped,
Right.
so.
But I think that's all schools too. I mean, I
Right,
feel like
no,
looking at my son going through, because my son happens to be in one of the larger groups right now that is in Ellis, and I feel like there was that flux when he first started too, where you had those really small groups, and then you had his group come in, which was very large compared to the 2 that were ahead of him. So.
Don Kidd?
May I make a clarification on something that Sue had asked? The question was asked about the money regarding those 3 personnel and sick days, and I wanted to clarify just so that, and I know you guys don't know the CBA, so if they do, you guys don't. Staff members are given 15 sick days a year, 3 are voluntarily donated, or, well, not voluntarily, we have to sign the contract. We donate those to a pool. If a staff member, a union member is sick, it draws from those days. And while in the short term, it may not seem like it would affect the budget, And in small amounts, you're right, it probably wouldn't. But it would affect if, for example, a catastrophic illness, 100 days, 90 days, and it was taken from the staff pool, those 3 days would not be given back to the staff members at the end of the year, which then would not be available to be purchased back. We can sell back our sick days. So in a catastrophic situation, yes, it could change things a little bit. And certainly 15 years down the road when I retire, it may change the number of sick days I can sell back. I mean, that sort of thing, if a catastrophic illness were to affect. If it's a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, you're right, it's probably not going to affect them. But again, you know, I'm just clarifying so that people understand how those things work, that's all.
That's true.
Yep,
I wasn't thinking of that.
okay, thank you.
Abby Dawson?
I don't have anything.
Cheryl Rowell?
I guess as a parent, would like to say that I encourage you to really think about that science lab, because I think it's really, really important. So I'd like to keep that in the budget. And the foreign language, my son's a senior at high school this year, and he was actually competing with juniors from Newton to get into his, because they're very restricted on their classes. So in order to take his math and language arts, he almost didn't get into Spanish because there were 29 kids in the class. And he was competing against juniors from Newton because they have foreign language at their middle school. So I would like to hear you all vote in favor of that.
I think you understand the difficulties we have because we keep on getting extra expenses placed on us from outside sources, which makes it extremely difficult to come up with a budget specifically designed to educate kids. Because our money continually, the demands of the federal government, the state government, continually take money out of your pockets for things that aren't directly applied to education. And that makes it more difficult to come up with a budget every year. You know, we come up with expenses that have been imposed upon us that we weren't expecting. So it makes it more difficult.
I understand that, but it's really difficult, like when your son's going to Spain and he may not understand. It's very hard, and I would like to see that.
I'd like to still see 7th and 8th grade Spanish myself. Or French.
Angela O'Connell?
I actually have just a few questions. My first question is about the health insurance. I know that quite a bit of the funds that were voted back in from the floor that then the town approved the budget went to health insurance last year, or this current year, I should say.
Separate warrant.
Yeah, but no, I'm actually talking about the information that was
Yeah,
sent.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there was quite a bit of money that was sent back because of, or spent on health insurance. So, and I know that this year again, this next year, there's money, quite a bit of an increase in health insurance again. So my question is, do we have to budget for it as if everyone was taking the health insurance, and what happens if everyone does not take the health insurance?
No.
Or is this true expense?
Well, the health insurance that you saw there, and I think it was under the superintendent's line.
Yes.
Okay. We had a business administrator who didn't need health insurance originally,
Okay.
and then she had an issue with her husband losing his job, and so she needed health insurance. So we had to find that money, and that's where we found it.
Okay,
And of course, now she's left.
right,
But that's where we had put it,
okay.
okay? So that was something that had come up. That wasn't like an increase. It wasn't
Okay.
like a 9.21 increase that we're faced with now this year. So, and then as far as the paras, the support staff contract, we knew that that was gonna show an increase this year because we only had to budget for half the year. And that's a guesstimate, because if half the paras take it and half don't, then there'll be some money there.
Okay, that's what I was
But we have to
asking.
budget as if everybody was
Okay.
taking it, because we have to fund it if they do.
So this is like a worst case scenario, if you will. in
For the
terms of-
paras.
For the paras.
For the
Yes.
teaching
Right.
staff,
It is, okay, okay. So that was my question. Another question I have about the 14-15 budget is, I understand what you're saying about taking one classroom teacher and putting it into a foreign language, but yet it looks like there's a reduction of $50,755 it's line 1. So I'm kind of curious, if we're really taking 1 to 1, then why is there such a large reduction there?
Is that a grant position?
We removed, yes, there is money, there was a grant position that was moved out into the Fund 22 from there as part of it. The other was transferred to a para line because apparently a para was being paid inappropriately out of one of the lines, and so we had to do a little switch. So
Okay.
it's not a reduction of a person, it's just a grant situation and an accounting issue.
So that money is going to other places inside the budget somewhere?
Well, no, the money for the teacher who's being paid partly by a grant is
Yeah.
going out to the Fund 22,
Yeah,
and the other one went down to para.
yeah.
Then I also had a question on page 35 of the proposed budget. And this is, I know that everyone's just seeing it for the first time tonight and everything, and so is, of course, so am I and all of you. But just something, trying to understand a little bit about this, if you will. For line 244, that's the salary administrative SAU, is that the superintendent?
No, that's the two others.
Okay, and then the superintendent, okay, it's 245, okay, gotcha. And then the health insurance increase, is that what you were alluding to, Ida, for the $37,000 increase from last year to proposed this year?
We have to be careful when we discuss health insurance because of FERPA laws.
Okay.
So,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to ask the same question.
we're budgeting appropriately for taking care of the needs of the people in the office.
Okay,
That's really all I can say.
okay, because that just seems like a huge increase there. And then a question.
Insurance is expensive.
Yeah,
Oh, trust me.
for a person, for a family.
It is very
Yes,
expensive.
yeah, it just, okay, so I was just curious about that, because that
Yeah.
seemed like a huge jump there. And then, the question about the superintendent, and, I know that we can't talk about necessarily positions or, in either, so just kind of throwing this out there, is that it was talked about an idea of, curriculum mapping and how that was not budgeted. My understanding was the superintendent, previous, to Dr. Cox was actually did curriculum mapping, so she was a part-time, she went full-time to also do curriculum mapping. So my curiosity is if we're going to have a full-time superintendent, would that full-time superintendent be able to then also do the curriculum mapping? Do we have to source it? Because I think it is very important, and I think it's something we need to work on towards accreditation. Do we need to source that outside? Or with the full-time superintendent, would that person also be able to do grant writing or other things since if they don't do the curriculum? So that's kind of, I'm just trying to understand that.
I don't remember ever increasing the position from part-time to full-time because of curriculum.
Oh, I thought, maybe
That
it's,
just
I
happened
would,
to be somebody, the person
Have
in the
the
position
resources.
liked doing that,
Okay.
if you
And
will,
have the
I guess.
experience.
But it wasn't, we didn't increase the superintendent position to full-time for curriculum mapping.
okay, I guess I heard a
Correct me if
comment.
I'm wrong.
I heard a comment that she said at one, that Dr., or Ms. Linga said at one point that she was a good resource because she could do the curriculum
Right.
mapping, and like a good spend, I guess she was saying, going from part-time to full-time. So I guess that's where my thought was coming from. I might have made it that assumption, so.
I don't think that was a board decision. We made it full-time because we felt the job required full-time,
Okay,
based on what we were seeing.
okay. So then that was my misunderstanding of that thing. Okay, and then the last thing was about this science lab, and I know a few people have talked about the warrant article versus it being included in the budget. And the one thing that, and I know I'm kind of laying the groundwork for the future, if you will, but talking about back to this fiscal year, is that knowing last year that we returned over $200,000 to town. And I know that many times there's been comments saying that, well, we're not going to use the funds with how they were originally budgeted to be used, then we should return the funds to the town. And at the same aspect, I would like to just reiterate that the floor at the deliberative session did request the increase in the budget, acknowledging that, of course, you know, the school board has the responsibility to spend it how is seen fit by the school board, but then also best for the school. But with that said, I know that there was a large portion of that money that had to go against the transportation that no one expected. So I really, really strongly encourage whatever that transportation number was, and I don't recall, it's
I think it's
83,000, it was approximately 83,000, which by the way, would cover, more than cover, you know, the science lab. So I'd really like to stress that if those funds are available at the end of this fiscal year, we use them to the best to improve the school and make the changes that we could have used if that $83,000 had not been spent, even though it might not have been budgeted from the beginning to be spent against those
For
items.
what it's worth, the budget committee, going on to those meetings, the comments you hear from them a lot of times is if you have money left over, use it.
I think that's irresponsible, to be honest with you.
It's-
It's not our money, it's the taxpayers' money.
What about,
So-
if I could ask, what about using it towards how the deliberative session had originally requested and it was passed at that meeting? I mean, then that's not using it against how it was requested.
I mean, last year, we did use X amount to buy a new reading program, you
And
know,
windows, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, we do take a look at, you know, our surpluses, our, you know, and take a look at if there's anything that's necessary that needs to be, that we could use it for, you know.
We
and
also
so we
were
don't-
misinformed. We also were misinformed about our fund balance last year at the end of the year. And we didn't
Right.
find out we had $209,000
Right.
until this year
Right.
started.
Yeah, you have to spend
And we
before July
had-
1.
Right.
We
Yeah.
had projected a $50,000 fund balance
Right.
because when we do our projections for the following year, we had projected, not a fund balance, but a revenue, or maybe a fund
Unexpended fund
balance, a
balance.
fund balance of 50,000. And I think at the end of the year, we were told our fund balance was like 65,000. So we thought we were coming in very close to what we needed to come into, and we didn't find out until after
Way
the
after.
fact.
And for the record, 209,000 is unaudited.
It is on
We
Right.
our.
still haven't been
Yeah.
audited.
And
So
so they changed.
It might vary,
significantly,
right,
very
right.
significantly.
So-
If I might,
Yes.
I want to address, I know a lot of people have this question about the science lab and whether putting it in the budget or putting it as a warrant article is an issue. Remember that you have a budget and a default budget.
Right.
And if you put it in the budget and you lose the budget and you get the default budget, you don't get the science lab. But if you have it as a warrant article and it passes, it has to go to the science lab. It has no other place it can go. It is pointed to that and it has to happen. That's one of the pluses about it. But if you have it in the budget and you lose that budget, it's gone.
So a question for you is if we put it as a warrant article and it fails,
You can't
You
do it.
can't.
can we use the
No.
funds from this year, from 13-14 to fund it?
Yes, you
Fund
can.
balance,
You
yes.
can.
If there is a fund
Yes,
balance?
it's a fund
Yeah.
balance.
Okay.
Next year you would not be able to, but you could do it this year.
So if the school board thought it was important enough to, recommend passing of it, it then didn't pass the warrant article, if we had a fund balance remaining, then that would be a viable option.
We'll start penny pinching now.
Okay.
But like I said, I mean, to take a look, relook at that warrant article, accepting unanticipated funds.
Yeah.
If, I mean, I
That's
have a
huge.
grant newsletter I get every month, and the money that, potential that we miss out on
Absolutely.
constantly, I mean, you know, is really, I mean, we're not taking advantage of what's available, and that's why we're also talking about setting up a not-for-profit corporation that could raise money to purchase things for the school, which would be one way to, you know, if people wanted to see a science lab, you know, they could raise money and you know, and do it in that way. So those are some options that we have, that we're thinking about.
Okay.
You also have the option to put it on as a petition warrant article anytime too.
A citizen's petition?
Citizen.
Yeah. You need 50
25.
signatures. Oh, 25? Are you sure?
I need some. You need some
Okay.
signatures.
That's all for me tonight, thank you.
You're welcome. Carla?
I just had a
Oh,
question.
just Address.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Carla Smith, 28 Ann Lane. I would like to know, the proposed, budget that you put out tonight and you passed out a few copies, could you have that posted, online for us to download or
It
access? or-
changes hourly. Right now, it's not good for us to put it out there. We printed this thing about 30 times today. Every time, you know, something moves, it is not a good idea yet to put it out. I really don't recommend it, because people will show up at meetings and have the wrong copy.
You're welcome to have a copy of it.
Yeah.
It is
But
public
know that by
information.
tomorrow afternoon, it will be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the final proposed budget that we vote on
We
will
will
be on the website
Yeah.
for everybody to be able to.
When it solidifies.
So it goes to the budget committee on by November 9th. So by then, we still have final copies at home.
By
For
November
the
9th?
budget committee, and
For
then
the
they'll
budget
change it.
Yeah, but we could at least post what we have
That's true.
on the website, so you
Proposed.
know what's going, yeah,
Once we vote on it.
yeah.
Is it November 9th or November 14th?
Number 9.
I hope it's
I
the
think it's the
14th.
8th, actually.
You know,
We are supposed to do the 2 sections of work on the budget on the 29th and on the 5th, and I'm gonna recommend that we do the 4th and 5th, because it's due on the 8th.
it is 8th, it's the Friday, but yeah, it's that,
Okay.
we gotta get cracking.
Okay, I don't think there was anybody else. Was there anybody else who wanted to say anything?
Can I ask one more question, as a follow-up to Angela's? The
Could you give
grant,
your name and your
oh, I'm
address?
sorry, Sean
Application?
Prout, 92 Beatty Hill Road. As a follow-up to Angela on the grant, are you still planning on sending something out stating all the grants you could have applied for and what the money would have been, so that the taxpayers know that this is really kind of a stupid warrant article for them to keep voting down?
We're keeping track of it.
Okay.
I'm keeping track of it.
Because I really think that's
I put them at the end of my
important.
report every month, and when we do the newsletter, we're hoping to do this newsletter that goes out to every resident. I'm going to include that list.
Because I think as a parent, I'm well aware of what a grant can do and how much a grant can potentially bring in. But I think maybe as an average citizen or somebody whose child has been out for so long that you just don't realize what money you're actually turning down, and that the grant is very specific. It's not like you're going to get this windfall of money and be able to do whatever you want with it. I mean, it's very specific in what you have to spend it for. And I think people don't realize that and see that.
Brittany Thompson, 81 Brownberg Circle. I have a question again about the union, and a follow-up kind of to Sue's question about what difference does it really make if the guidance counselors and the media specialists are in the union? Does it make a difference?
Makes a big difference.
To whom?
Well, because one thing,
Well,
the union, the CBA doesn't apply to them. Sorry, you can talk.
But
Well, there's a
because it's-
recognition clause in the CBA,
Yeah.
and it has to list who's in the union, and right now they're not listed in the recognition clause.
Is that a hard process to go through?
No, we're in
Oh,
negotiations
no, I
right
was
now.
just, no, I'm not like questioning, I've never had this experience.
Yeah,
and-
it's more the document that's filed with the state of New Hampshire, the certification, that's the issue, that's the sticking point right now, that has to be changed.
Okay, so that, we're looking toward that that is something that we're looking toward. We're not looking to exclude them in the next union? Or is that's, we can't talk about that?
I
'cause
can't
it's
talk about
negotiation.
negotiations.
And I don't know, and typically with other school districts, would they be in the union? Or is that, do
It
others?
depends on the recognition clause in their contract.
All right, thank you. Oh, one more. Okay, sorry. Do we actually, I'm for the world language teacher, I think that's great, but is that our expectation that we're gonna have a full-time world language teacher for pre-K to 8? Or are we looking at just the middle school curriculum for now? And would that need a full-time because of our enrollment, or would that only be a half-time position? So then we wouldn't necessarily need to cut a full-time position.
I think it was gonna be 7th and 8th grade.
7th and 8th grade.
That would be
instead
my
of-
like a full
recommendation,
program.
7th grade, 8th grade, and that's a full schedule.
Okay,
Yeah, that is a full day schedule, and there would also be the opportunity for students who are struggling in reading to opt out of foreign language and have reading instruction.
okay.
That would be the idea to help raise scores.
Yeah, we did that years ago, very similarly to
Yeah.
that, about, 8, 9 years ago, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's it now. Action items, New Hampshire School Board Association call for resolutions. Does anybody have any? Because they have to be
I
sent
just
in.
wonder if we should bring back EBJ.
I don't have any interest in
Is
this.
that the one we did last year? Because no one there liked it.
No.
So in turn, what we proposed, they hated what we
We have to be
What do you
committed.
mean nobody really liked it? It never went forward.
Right.
We withdrew it.
Oh, I'm thinking something else.
Yeah, we withdrew it.
These are, well, the school has to
We
vote.
withdrew it because Ted Concept
Yeah,
asked us
you're
to.
right. Yeah, I've seen something like
Which is why I wondered if we should bring it forward.
We have to vote on the,
Nothing was really ever done.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I did run it up, so.
Okay, we need to, I don't know when that's gonna be, the actual meeting, but we have,
It's
are
due
you
by
the
the
rep Greg
25th.
again this year?
Yeah, they're due by the 25th.
No, but I mean, the actual meeting
Oh.
itself,
Yeah.
we usually give you our vote
Yeah.
on those resolutions.
They're
Yeah.
not out yet.
Right.
They're just collecting.
Right. So we'll have to do that before then. Okay, so nobody had any,
I'll have one for next time.
it's due the 15th, isn't it, or
25th.
the 25th?
It's due Friday.
25th.
It's due Friday, yeah.
Just
You
a
know
Friday.
this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Friday is the
Almost another
25th.
year, sorry.
Nomination for paraprofessional position?
Okay, James Dion has been being nominated to fulfill the position that Lydia Von On vacated at the opening of the school year. And it's interesting, I have my Dion, that's not good. Mr. Dion is a recent graduate of Plymouth State University with a teaching certificate in social studies. He has been working as a substitute in a position that he will fill should the board choose to elect him. And I recommend that the board elect Mr. Dion at a salary of $13.09 per hour to fill the present position. And you have the full year data on the second sheet. He's a great guy.
Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
Motion to accept the recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, can you just explain the change? I mean, I understand the change at the top. The salary differences, but what's the change at the bottom?
Because the position was unfilled for a while? I'm not sure. That's the difference between the two salaries.
Which is at the top, correct?
She's got the change in salary.
No, it is because of, see, he's, I
Right,
believe,
he's being prorated.
he's being prorated, Sharon, so he's only gonna make the 12,848.
Right.
So, and what we were going to pay was the 17, so the difference is a savings of 5,000 divided.
Oh, because it's a positive number, I thought it was a positive.
Yeah, no, it's a savings because of the
Mhm.
position being left out unfilled.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, motion is made, seconded to recommend Ms. Dion, he's passed 5-0. And non-public session, do we have anything?
I have nothing.
Go through the meeting minutes.
Any non-public meeting minutes should be due.
Yeah, but they're sealed for a year, so we could do them at the next meeting.
Next
And not go
meeting it
into
is.
non-public.
Next
I'm
meeting
just
it
thinking,
is.
you know. Okay, and, so I think I'll take a motion to table the non-public minutes of October 8th, 2013.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And future and follow-up agenda items?
We need to talk about your meetings,
Yeah.
budget. All right,
So, one of the questions I have, I hope was right place to bring it up, is, was it called the scoping sequence we got? I know I got for one of my son's teachers, I got the list of what he was gonna learn throughout the year.
right?
Would it be hard to get that from what all the teachers sent out this year, a year, what
I
they're coming
have
out?
no idea.
If it's not too
I-
time consuming, something like that?
Well, it depends if it exists already. You know, if they have it written out, it certainly should be accessible.
Yeah, I mean, just what's,
places.
not looking into the invented,
Just-
what,
right.
if there was something written up that was sent out, I'd love to
Call
see
the
it.
office and ask for it.
Well, so I sent out the email earlier and I was supposed to ask during this meeting.
Right, you're asking, because you want to know if the board wants to have that information.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we need to decide. You're asking as an individual.
I
So the
think
board
it
wants
should
to
be
know,
worthwhile seeing.
yeah, I think what Greg's saying is, we were told, I believe, that scope and sequence was out this fall.
Yeah?
That's
So-
what I remember hearing, so.
So my question to you, Greg, is why do you want the information?
Because it's supposed to be sent out. I know,
So you wanna see who did it and who didn't do it?
no, I just want to see what was sent out. I know there were comments in the last meeting that one of the parents said they didn't get it, so I'd like to see what's out there.
Right,
So just compare.
Did they want the scope and sequence for science or for everything?
I think it was fair.
Okay, so,
I personally don't need to see it, I personally think it's an administrative thing, if John wants to, pursue who
well, the board,
put it out. who
but the
didn't,
board
but-
asked for that as part of our strategic plan, that the SOAP, we were told that that was done. Michelle gave it to us in her final report, that the scope and sequence was done for the district, and that's part of the strategic plan. So if we have it done as completed on the strategic plan, but it in fact is not, then I think we should find out.
I think
for
we
a
should know
follow-up.
about that, but I don't think we need to see it all.
Oh,
is
I
what
see
I'm
what
You
you're
want
saying.
John to answer that question.
That's my
Yeah.
opinion, but if
Does it
you'd like to
exist?
see
I'd
it
like to
all,
see
then
it.
you could,
Well,
I
the
think,
parents
I
would
think
too,
you can
apparently,
ask
so-
John to see it
Well, so
all.
I started this whole thing with the email early, but then I was told I had to ask here.
That's
I'm more happy
because-
to ask as a
that's
parent.
Because
because-
as a board, we have to all
Okay.
agree.
Yeah,
that's
things
all.
like that. We only act as a board when we're in the board meeting. So your concern is that we have not seen that, and it was, I believe we should know that if it's been done or not.
I believe we should know if it's been done or not. I don't believe we need to see copies of it all, is my,
okay.
that's just my opinion, and I'm only one vote, so have at it. Really.
I think you should make a motion if you'd like to, Greg.
I'd like
and
to
then
make a
let the-
motion just to see a copy if it exists, just to see what's there. You
A
know.
copy of the scope and sequence for
Yeah.
each grade, right?
Yeah, what
Okay.
was sent out with the kids at the end of the year.
Right.
Okay, so is this is scope
For the next meeting, like for an agenda item.
Whenever's gonna be easy.
Okay.
It can be 10 meetings on it, can be just whatever's easy. Don't
okay.
wanna stress it.
And I'm ignorant of what was done last year, so if I might ask, you're looking for a scope and sequence covering each grade for what subject areas? All subject
Yes,
areas?
there
What was sent home?
according to what we were told.
Ooh,
I know I got one for I know one of my son's teachers did, maybe they all did, I just didn't see them all because I don't see all the papers that come home. But they had laid out like every month what they were learning and
right.
what they're going, where they'd be throughout the year.
Some of the teachers have something similar to that on their website, others don't.
So you're looking for a pamphlet of the scope and sequence from English language arts, math, science, social studies, and the arts for each grade level.
It was what you can expect your child to
To
learn
learn,
this
yes.
year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very typical, done in a trifold and is
Yes.
available in the office to hand out to people as they come in.
Mhm.
So that was supposed to be completed at the end of the year. So what I'll do is I'll ask John to map out basically each grade, each level, check, where it's done, and then provide the copies. Okay? And if
Right,
there's anything
the
missing, you'll
strategic-
know.
Well, it was on the strategic plan that the parents would get that at the beginning of this school year.
Okay.
That's what we were told. And it sounds like maybe that didn't happen, and if it didn't, then we need to change the completion date on the
Yeah.
strategic
So-
plan and make sure it happens.
Make it like do December or January after budget season, just to not stress people out. It's not ultra urgent, but
It should already be done.
Okay, so there was a motion. Was there a second?
Second.
And there was obviously discussion.
Right.
that,
Okay,
Out of order.
okay, before you take the vote, just let me, John's report for the next meeting is due tomorrow, so he's not gonna be able to prepare it for the
like,
November meeting.
make it
So-
December.
December,
Make
next
it a
month.
Christmas gift,
Okay,
New Year's gift.
December. So it'll be the first meeting in
That's
December.
okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And you're gonna take a vote?
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. So 4 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay, I got it.
Great. Any other future and follow-up agenda items?
We have been talking about having
Budget workshops.
budget workshops, and also we talked about having a general workshop talking about, future planning for the school,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I can bring up what I know, and that is
Yeah.
that our budget schedule says that next Tuesday and the following Tuesday, which is actually your next meeting, we're supposed to be discussing various sections of the budget in depth. And I know Ida's gonna be out next week, and I can't make the Tuesday night, so I was gonna suggest, and just throw out the idea of doing Monday, Tuesday, the 4th and 5th, the 2 nights,
For the budget.
for the budget.
Yep.
I won't be available Monday night until 8 o'clock.
Gonna be late night. We would be, according to the budget schedule, and I don't have a copy of it on me, we were gonna be discussing certain things. Would you be able to get your questions in?
I'm sure I
So-
can do
Yeah, then we could make sure that we got those answers to you if you had to come late.
So this would be budget sessions.
Well,
We could just start it, maybe.
Annie and I
Yeah,
have
we
support staff negotiations at 4 o'clock on that Monday.
So we wanna start the meeting late?
Yeah.
Start it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Start
What
it
time
late?
can you make it, Sharon?
I won't be able to make it till at least 8 o'clock, because I
So
don't close
8,
down until 7.
10.
Well, we'll start at 8.
8 o'clock?
We could start at 7:30 and get people here, and then you can join us.
No, yeah, I mean, I can come as soon as I balance, so if everything goes right, I can be
Yeah.
by 7:30.
Okay. So the 4th at 8 o'clock here at the SAU for budget session school board. And then the 5th, Tuesday,
That's our regular meeting.
no, that's only the first.
That's the first Tuesday.
Yes, but we have moved those meetings, we're on the 5th and we're on
Oh,
the
sorry,
19th.
okay,
In November, and we're the same in December, we're the 1st and 3rd.
okay.
Because of the holidays. So that's our regular meeting, so do you wanna start a little early, or do you wanna hold it during the regular meeting, or? We can devote that whole meeting to the budget.
That would be okay with me. What do you guys think?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I was writing
It's
that.
not listening. I'm
Did
sorry.
Betsy suggested that we use the school board meeting to finish up the budget.
Yeah.
That'll be it, that'll be the
Yeah.
last, I would hope
Yeah,
that that would be it.
That should
We'd
be it,
all
and then
firm
it
and-
goes, 3 days later, it goes to the bud council,
Right.
so it's gotta be it.
Okay.
So, you have to make your decision, so we have to make sure we have your answers.
Date.
I don't think it's that complicated, I think we'll be able to do it in 2 meetings.
It's pretty well defined.
Mhm.
We did move a lot of things. One of the things that I didn't mention to everybody was in the question of supplies. Many supplies were put into curriculum, book lines and workbook lines. And that's why you see the huge difference in number of supplies versus textbooks and stuff. They were accounted for in various places. So we've moved everything into where it should be.
Yeah, so Betsy, can you take a couple things down that I
Sure.
know I'm gonna wanna see? For the budget session on the 4th is a staff listing by
Yep.
function.
Yep.
What else? Oh, revenue.
Yeah. I wanna try and see if we can capture, that's gonna be very iffy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the grant, the adequacy grant. We don't,
We should have that though, shouldn't we?
We have
Because
this
they can't
year's.
set the tax
We've had
rate.
only this year's, not next year's.
But they can't set the tax rate without calculating the
Right, and we
adequacy that
have this
we're getting.
year's, and we're underfunded significantly. That's something we may have to talk about.
Right.
Will we have the Sanborn GMR by?
We should, November 1st, we should have that.
Yeah.
And we have the insurance now. But revenue, as far as the grants go,
Oh, and grants would be nice too.
sequestration, we have no idea. I
We
mean,
have
we
to-
probably could lop 10% off of that and be safe, but we don't know what the adequacy will be.
If we have to have the revenue side when we present the budget.
We'll do what we can. Yeah, you're right, we do, so we'll do what we can.
So, and if we could have a breakdown of the 22.
Yep.
Fund 22, where you're
Yeah,
gonna
she's
spend that
working
money.
on that now.
Okay, that's the only 3 things.
Okay.
But the staff by function is really helpful for
Yep.
us.
And the summary, maybe,
I would like to see projected
I don't expect
class,
to have that,
yeah,
Projected.
enrollment.
We have, yeah, we just move everybody up a grade,
Right.
and then we
in
project
the- it's in
kindergarten,
here.
which is very
It's
difficult.
right next to it for.
Yep.
Oh, you mean for the whole school?
for the whole school.
Okay, never
The
whole
mind, sorry, I
school.
thought you meant for.
No.
Yeah, I actually have those figures here,
Right,
in my other packet,
Right.
if I needed them tonight, but not in that packet. Anyway, enrollment.
yes, projected class for every class.
So basically, once we meet, then the budget books will be put together with whatever we've
That's right.
basically voted on.
Right, Yep, so we
Okay.
have 3 days to put them together.
Okay.
So with the enrollment, usually Sarah gives us a breakdown of the special ed
Yeah.
and who's where and, you know, the outplacements and things like that.
Yeah, much is already detailed in there. If you look in the budget, you're gonna see one student at this school, one student at that school kind of thing, but we will
She
make it
has it
succinct on a
already,
single
I think,
sheet.
Which is nice.
That-
It
Yeah,
really is
everything,
easier to
we
follow.
put as much as possible details we could in there in the time that we had.
Can I add something to the agenda, for the next thing on, the Title I program, on how it's doing, because it just started up. I know they were going to focus more on math, but I wanna make sure that the kids in reading are still getting support, so
We couldn't be ready for the next meeting,
well, whenever, you know.
but you
whenever
would
they
like
can-
that
Future
covered.
agenda.
Yeah, just to see, because I know there was a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but most of the children the last year were done in the reading.
Yep,
So what happens to all those kids is their support.
right. There should be an entrance and exit criteria process for the testing, and it should be data driven. I assigned that to the program, and I will admit that it's not where my mind has been,
I know.
but I understand completely what you're asking. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? So the 4th and the 5th, the 5th is a regular 6:30 meeting, the 4th is going to start at 8 o'clock here. That's open to the public, It's a public meeting.
Yep.
Work session. It'll be posted. All right, and we need to talk about our meeting that we had scheduled for the 29th. Because what we were gonna do there is we were gonna go over the superintendent evals, interim superintendent evals that we were getting back. So, I wondered if it was okay with everybody if we moved that. I can't be there on the 29th. So, if you wanna have it without me, you can, that's fine, I'm out of town. If you wanna move it, I can do it Thursday the 24th. There's 2 days left for people to turn in their, business days left to turn in their things by noon on the 28th. But we'll know, because the forms are numbered, we'll know how many are still left out there, or if everybody has already turned them back in. And we'll be able to make our call
So you
based
wanna
on
move
that.
it to this week?
No, the 20th.
No, next Thursday.
Yeah, actually, it's
Oh,
this
yeah.
week.
24th
It's the
is
24th.
Thursday.
2 days.
Yes, Thursday, the 24th. I don't want to, I'm suggesting that that's the only other day I could do if we don't do it on the 29th, because I'm not here on the 29th, I'm out of town for the whole week.
I can do the 24th.
I think it'd be worthwhile.
I can do it on the 24th if we have a late meeting, cause again, I don't close till 7 o'clock on Thursdays,
So what-
Mondays and Thursdays.
So what if we did this? What if we did 7:30 on the 24th, and we'll at least calculate what numbers we have? And if we
Yeah,
have-
we can just tally it up like we did last
Yeah, and then if
time.
we have enough, we'll go for it. If we don't, we'll just say no, but we'll start once you get here.
Do we have enough time to post it on a public meeting, Betsy?
You only need 24 hours.
Okay, so as long as we post it tomorrow, we'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can do the 24th.
you can do the 24th.
I
Can
do
you
the 24th, yeah.
What time? 7:30, we said?
So if everybody works, Cheryl.
It will maybe be an hour.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it taking longer than that.
Now, you have to start in public session, go into non-public,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then come out of non-public into public and then adjourn.
I
okay.
did you
So
have a
you
key?
do have to
I'll
do
try to remember that.
Yeah.
Do you have a key? for
Yeah,
it?
I have a key to that door unless it's been changed.
Okay.
So do you want Yvonne to post that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So it'll be, let's see, the 24th is
Thursday.
Thursday, 7:30 you said?
Yep.
Here at the SAU?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so we should have our evals completed also. Do you each have a copy of that eval?
Yes, I do.
Because if you don't, I can, it's not the same eval that the public got, it's a longer eval.
I'm assuming I have it, but if you have a copy for me first,
I'll
just so it's on
I'll
top.
forward it to you. And if you can bring that completed, we can tally that up too. And then we can schedule a time with Betsy to do the eval for her,
Mhm.
to give her that feedback. Okay. So, and I think that's all we have. I do have to ask you to stay for a non-meeting, it's about negotiations. Because we're having a big meeting tomorrow and I need some
Okay.
feedback from the board. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.